Hello everybody. Those of you who have watched previous episodes of Talking Pictures will have heard me occasionally reference the great exhibitions that were held in Dunedin in 1865, 1889-90 and 1925-26. And I thought as we approach the centenary of the 1925-26 exhibition later this year, we might take a look at each of these exhibitions over the next few episodes, and in particular at the art galleries that were set up there. Following a small but successful bazaar and industrial exhibition in Dunedin in 1862 to raise money for the St Paul's Church Building Fund, a committee was established to promote the staging of an exhibition on a much larger scale. World fairs such as the Great Exhibition in London in 1851 and the Great London Exposition of 1862 undoubtedly also provided inspiration for the promoters of what would be New Zealand's first Great Exhibition, that opened in Dunedin on the 12th of January 1865. The foundation stone for the exhibition building in Great King Street had been laid early in 1864. The impressive structure that was subsequently erected around it is said to have been the largest brick building in New Zealand at the time. After the exhibition was over, it would be repurposed as Dunedin Hospital. The exhibition building and its annexes housed over 1,500 exhibits. The greatest number were from Otago, of course, but they also came from elsewhere in New Zealand and from Australia, the United Kingdom, North America, Europe and India. Natural history and physical science exhibits were prominent, including a popular exhibit by provincial geologist James Hector. That's Hector lurking in his exhibit in the background of this photo. The fine arts display was housed in an annex at the back of the exhibition building, alongside the refreshments area. It comprised a little over 400 works, exhibited either by the colonists who owned them or by the colonial artists who painted them. Works displayed by their owners were mostly by British artists, and works supplied by the colonial artists themselves were primarily watercolours of New Zealand scenes. Silver medals, the highest award, went to John Gully and James C. Richmond of Nelson and Charles Decimus Burrard of Wellington. Gully's view of Mount Cook from the west coast was judged to be the top watercolour in the exhibition. A painting of Lake Rotorua by Richmond was declared the best oil painting, despite it arriving a month after the exhibition opened and not being hung very well in the rush to get it up on the wall. Speaking of hanging, one commentator observed that the hanging committee of the Fine Arts exhibition consisted of 4 men who were all experts in the subject of hanging, courtesy of their day jobs, as a Supreme Court judge, a resident magistrate, a sheriff and a police commissioner. Local artists, some of whom we've covered in previous episodes of Talking Pictures, included Captain Thomas Robertson, who submitted several of his large oil paintings of ships, for which he was awarded a bronze medal. According to one commentator, Robertson's distinctive style of ship painting was unmistakable, and his scenes were lifelike enough to make sensitive viewers feel a little seasick. Another commended the animation and boldness of his works on one hand, and lamented his want of study of colour and the hardness of the water in his works on the other. Bronze was also awarded to Simon Frederick Every of Anderson's Bay. Before he emigrated to Dunedin, Every was known for designing a flexible and extendable chimney sweeping brush, which had become widely adopted after earning him a gold medal at the Great Exhibition at Crystal Palace in 1851. His bronze medal at the 1865 exhibition was awarded for a small oil painting of the ship HMS Inconstant, but he exhibited several etchings, lithographs and pen and ink and pencil drawings as well. Peter Powell was another local artist who showed several works at the exhibition. He went unrewarded for his efforts, however. No medal, commendation or even a mention in the jurors' reports for him. Nor for John Irvine, the painter who would become the first president of the Otago Art Society when it was established in 1876. He was represented at the exhibition by a couple of works, including a portrait of popular local minister Reverend Dr. Donald Stewart and one, possibly this one, of the then Provincial Superintendent John Hyde Harris, who was one of the promoters of the exhibition. Harris also lent a work or works listed in the catalogue as Design for Cargill Monument, the monument to honour first Provincial Superintendent Captain William Cargill, which was erected in Dunedin's Octagon in 1864 before being moved down the road to the Exchange in 1872. The design was the work of Provincial Engineer Charles Swire. Provincial Surveyor John Turnbull Thompson exhibited 5 of his own works: views of the upper and lower Taieri bridges which he designed, views of the upper Waitaki and lower Wairau plains, and a view of Dunedin in 1856, with Captain Cargill and Reverend Dr. Burns in the foreground. A reviewer for the Wellington Independent newspaper, commenting on the exhibition, had this to say about Thompson's work: "I regret that I cannot commend the laboured efforts of Mr. Thompson, the Chief Surveyor of the province, to depict on sundry large canvases some of the districts in which he has worked the theodolite. There is a thing called piccalilli, which I think is yellower than mustard, and which Mr. Thompson must have used most extensively in producing the intensely bright effects which he has given to his pictures. I recommend him to throw all his colours but 3 or 4 into the street. His eye may in time get relieved of the jaundice with which a residence in a gold-producing country has infected it." Although his name doesn't appear in the Fine Arts catalogue, we're told that draftsman George O'Brien had at least one watercolour on show. The Wellington Independent reviewer writes, "There is a very well but somewhat thinly painted view of Port Chalmers by a Mr. O'Brien, remarkable for transparency of air and for the great neatness with which the shipping is delineated." He went on to add that he would have liked to have seen more of O'Brien's work on display, and felt that maybe he had, because he suspected O'Brien's hand at work in a large image of designs for the exhibition building by architects Mason and Clayton. Number 127 in the exhibition's Fine Arts catalogue is likely this work by James Brown, although a probable typo in the listing has the artist as T. Brown rather than J. Brown. James Brown was an artist engraver and the man sometimes described as the first cartoonist in New Zealand. 4 works, including an oil painting of Moiraki Beach, were by Thomas Redmayne, another artist who had become associated with political satire in Dunedin. The New Zealand exhibition of 1865 ran for about 4 months. By the time it closed on the 6th of May 1865, it had been visited over 30,000 times. At its conclusion, the jurors had this to say about the Fine Arts Court: "Altogether, the Fine Arts Court, whether as an evidence of the art talent which exists in the colony, or as a means of educating as well as gratifying the taste of those who visited it, must be considered a signal success. And it was very creditable to New Zealand, not only that it contained so many good pictures, but also so few bad ones." New Zealand's first great exhibition was over, but its legacy was about to begin. See you next time, and thanks for watching.